Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's C3 Engage webinar on self-care, how to find time to put your own needs first. Thank you so much for making the time to watch today. I hope the content is helpful to you. My name is Mary Ward. I'm one of the health coaches here on the HealthYou team. As far as my background, my bachelor's degree is in psychology, my master's is in health promotion, and then I'm a certified wellness and health coach. So I'm very passionate about health and wellness. As far as my hobbies, I really enjoy camping, aerial silks, watercolor, reading, walking, hiking with my dog, Dora. And actually, I also just recently got a new dog named Athena, so she joins us too for our adventures. And I'm really passionate about wellness, like I said, and self-care. So I'm excited to be delivering this content to you today. As far as our agenda for the call, today we will talk a little bit about what is self-care, how does it impact our day-to-day lives, and then talk about a couple different resources that are available to you as well. So, what is the HealthYou Engage Wellness Program? I guess we'll start with that. So the HealthYou Engage Wellness Program, the mission is to engage, inform, and improve the well-being of each individual and the well-being culture of the organizations with whom we partner. Our goal is to engage with you, to inform you on health and wellness, practices and resources to help you improve your overall health and really just maintain a state of well-being in the workplace and outside of the workplace. So now we'll dive into a definition. What is self-care? So self-care simply just means taking steps to stay healthy and feel good. This looks super different for each individual, but really we just want to think about taking care of each individual component between mind, body, and emotional well-being. So this can mean, taking action to manage a sickness when that occurs, but it looks like a lot more than that. And also, often requires or includes preventative care. We also want to take good care of ourselves because that improves our overall quality of life, our long-term health. And like I said, it looks different for everybody. And something I say a lot when it comes to health coaching and wellness in general is, there's as many ways to be healthy as there are people walking on the planet. So it's not just a, scripted, one size fits all situation here, but rather, something that we can continue to explore and experiment with for our entire life. So these are some of the kind of main components or building blocks of self-care. We have physical self-care, which includes regular exercise. And again, this looks different for everybody depending on your preferences and what you enjoy, also what your physical capabilities. But lots of people enjoy walking, yoga, dancing are a great way to boost your mood, increase your energy levels. The other component of physical health, though, is what we're eating, making sure that we're eating lots of fruits and vegetables, a diverse variety, as well as a good quantity. National recommendation for fruits and vegetables is 5 to 11 servings combined per day. Just to reiterate, a serving would be either half a cup of cooked vegetables, a whole cup of raw fruit or vegetables, or like about a medium-sized piece of fruit. Another really important component of physical self-care is sleep hygiene, and most adults need anywhere from 7 to 9 hours of sleep each evening. So protecting that time and prioritizing sleep is really important as well. Mental and emotional health care or self-care includes things like deep breathing, meditation, journaling, but also a really important component of this is doing things that you enjoy. And again, that looks different for everybody, but for me, I can really de-stress by, reading or taking some time to do some art. Aerial silks has been a huge thing for me that, it involves physical health, but it's also something throughout my week that I look forward to, that I enjoy, that I can feel proud of myself in a sense of accomplishment for accomplishing. So, finding those little components and what does that look like for you? Because again, it looks different for everybody. The other component of, mental and emotional self-care is knowing when to reach out for help if needed. Sometimes that can look like talking to a therapist or a counselor, or even a psychologist or psychiatrist or a doctor. Social self-care includes things like spending time with family and friends. There's lots of science that proves that that time really does impact our well-being in a positive way. Also, though, finding, groups to join or causes to volunteer with can be a great way to connect with other like-minded people and build that community around yourself, as well as, feeling like you're contributing to your community, that sense of meaning and purpose, which is another really fundamental component of health and wellness. Spiritual self-care, again, looks different for everybody, but can include things like finding time alone, prayer, meditation, connecting with nature. Gratitude, having a regular gratitude practice is linked to really positive outcomes when it comes to health and wellness. And then again, there's also physical practices like yoga or Tai Chi that can have a spiritual component as well. So, what does this impact? Why is this important? Why is it important to prioritize self-care? So, some of the benefits that go along with proper self-care practices, or regular self-care practices, however you want to think about that, includes things like improved emotional well-being. So you're able to manage your emotions better, meaning, if difficult things happen, you can kind of handle that and stay regulated, while also increasing overall happiness. Self-care supports physical health. So when we're exercising and eating well and sleeping well, those things all have a positive impact on our immune system and reduces our risk of chronic conditions like heart disease and diabetes. Self-care increases productivity. So people who take time for self-care tend to have increased energy levels, better mental focus, and this really has a big impact on our day-to-day tasks, whether that's at home or in the workplace. It also increases productivity by preventing burnout because people are taking regular breaks, taking relaxation, prioritizing all of those components of self-care and wellness so that we're able to really show up fully wherever that may be. And then self-care increases life satisfaction. So regular self-care practices contribute to higher levels of happiness and fulfillment. When we invest in our personal needs, we can become more confident and have a positive outlook in life. So, it's really affirming the fact that I matter, and these practices are really important into maintaining my overall well-being. So here are some tips. Starting with the physical, pay attention to those physical needs, prioritizing that time for sleep, making sure that you're getting enough nutrients in your everyday diet, including things like colorful fruits and vegetables, healthy fats, whole grains, lean proteins, staying hydrated, drinking plenty of water throughout the day, and then exercising regularly. And, super major bonus points if you are able to find an activity that you enjoy when it comes to exercising, because we're way more likely to participate in that activity if we look forward to it, if we enjoy it. Paying attention to emotional needs. So again, incorporating a regular practice of meditation or deep breathing can help us to feel less stressed and be more aware of what's going on in our body. Write journaling, so writing down your feelings. It can help to kind of externalize some of those things. Also, just some data that you can look back on and continue to learn and manage your emotions that way. And then, learn to say no, or having boundaries is really helpful, because if we're always doing things that, aren't important to us or that we don't want to be doing, then we're not going to have time for these other things that are important to us to be doing. So it takes practice, but learning how to say no, learning how to let go of some things so that we can really give our energy to what matters to us and what aligns with our values. And that can help us avoid feeling overwhelmed or feel like we have too much going on or more than we can manage. And then planning time for self-care. So, something else that I say a lot as a coach is these things don't happen by accident. Nobody eats 5 to 11 servings of fruit and vegetables by accident. Like that requires thought and attention and effort. And so same thing with self-care or stress management or any other component of health and wellness, where we need to prioritize it and make a plan for it to try to make sure that it happens. Thinking of self-care time as like a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment where you wouldn't just like bail on that, but really prioritizing that and valuing that in your calendar the same way that you would value other things. Tracking is another really motivating and helpful way to improve our health and well-being. So finding some way to track your self-care, whether that's, a paper calendar or a poster or a phone calendar or a work calendar. But, using the resources that are available to you, that work for you, and tracking that progress so that you also have that achievement to look back on, because you deserve to have that time to be proud of yourself as well. Next, we're going to go over a couple different resources that are available to you. But before we do that, just a couple of the key takeaways as far as today's presentation. Self-care means caring for mind, body, and emotions. And something else that's really important when it comes to health and wellness, or that can be helpful to realize, is that all these areas of health and wellness tend to be interconnected with one another. So it's okay to start with what you feel most excited about or what you feel most motivated about, because that will probably have a positive impact on the other areas of health and wellness. So if you're not really super excited about the mental or the emotional piece, but you could see yourself maybe increasing a little bit of physical activity or incorporating that as a self-care practice, start there and you might notice improvements in those other categories as well. Like I said, self-care, it's individualized. It looks different for every person. And there's as many ways to do this as there are people walking the planet. So finding those ways that you enjoy, that work for you, that you really feel those benefits, and, leaning into that. It's okay if that doesn't look the same as your partner or your friends or your family. And then, again, self-care takes planning and commitment. So prioritizing it and structuring it into your schedule, into your routine is really the best way to make sure that we're turning this into habit, routine, lifestyle, and really getting the most preventative benefit out of it as we can. Here are a few different resources that are available to you. We have the Life Coach and Wellness Navigator. So lots of different health coaches on our team. But if you're in a place where you want to make some changes and it would be helpful to have a curious, productive conversation around it, health coaching is great for that. So utilize that resource. It's a really great opportunity to just have a health conversation with someone who believes in you and is excited about you and is there to kind of cheerlead for you and lift you up. Another resource available to you is the Articles for Better Health. So learn the ABCs of health and wellness. If you read 3 articles or listen to a brief recorded topic, 3 of those are considered one program activity. Relationship Roadmaps is also a pre-recorded webinar from Cottonwood Creek. And you can, again, watch this at your convenience to learn about how to improve your relationships. You can also schedule a free wellness consult with StrataMed or a preventative exam at One Medical. And then you also have the biometric health screenings available to you to know your numbers, your different types of cholesterol, your blood pressure, glucose, those types of things. So really, when it comes to self-care, knowing your numbers, knowing what your biometric data looks like so that you can start working on any of those physical health improvements that might be necessary, working with professionals, working with a doctor, working with a therapist when that feels necessary or appropriate, and then using the other resources that are available to you as you see fit. But I hope that this encourages you to invest in your own way, however that looks like, in your own self-care and your well-being. But also there's tons of support available, resources. Again, Milestones, Cottonwood Creek, One Medical or Strata Services, and health coaching. Lots of people and resources out there to help you improve your health and well-being overall. So please do take advantage of that. And that concludes the webinar on self-care today, but thank you so much for making the time to watch, and I wish you the best on your health and wellness journey.